Today I'm going to show you how to do some animation in FactoryTalk View Studios. This is going to be all encompassed inside the HMI. I'm not hooked up to any processor, so this will all run as is on the HMI without hooking it up with any communications. Now the first things first to make that happen is you got to start declaring some tags inside the HMI's memory. To do that, you can go over to the HM in the Project Explorer. You can go over to the HMI tags folder, open up that tag browser. That'll bring this guy up here. Now we can add a tag, we can remove tags, we can set all kinds of different types of tags. To show you what I'm saying, if we go here, you just select the next line. We're just going to make a bit real quick, call it a toggle bit, just to show you how to do this. Toggle, then you get some choices if you wanted to have some text, if you wanted to have it just be on or off, digital, yes, no, true, false, that's what that means. Analog is any kind of a numerical value. This is just going to be a digital tag. Let's do that up. You can throw a description in here if you really wanted to. I'm just doing this so you can see how to make one. If you had it on the device, what you would do here is this tag would be able to be referenced from here, but then this tag would also be passed over to the device. In this case, we're just going to do it in memory. So if you click memory here, you'll notice this changes to an initial value. You can set this on to off, however you want to do it, and you can make it retain it. If it wants to power down, do we want to make sure that that's held on to? That's what the retentive means. So after you have all that set up, if you just hit accept, you'll see it'll jump that down into here. Now that'll be available when you go searching for tags. That's how I made these other ones. These are just analog values. One of them is going to be a speed percentage. And what that is going to be how much speed I want to actually be sending to that axis, the output. And then the speed multiplier, you'll see, that's what I'm going to be using to control what ramp buttons are visible. So without taking any more time, let's get into the animation of it. So I have this form here, three buttons, three sets of buttons that look the same. There is a difference. They're all ramp buttons. I started with these two first, set these up, set the connection up to this valid speed percentage. And that's a ramp button, as you can see. So what that does is it's going to send a value of +1 on this because it's a ramp up. So this one's going to be a +1 to the speed percentage. And then as you can see, this is tied to the same variable, but this is a ramp down. At this one ramp down, it's going to send a -1 to this variable here. So all I did then after I had that set up is I grouped them, copied them, and pasted it 2 more times. And then I went into the properties and I changed the ramp value from 1 to 5 on both the increase and decrease on that one. And on this one, I changed it to 10. And on this one, I changed it to 10. You can see all 6 buttons are pointing at the same value, the same variable. And all you had to do was click that tag. And here's that bit we just made, but I had already had these ones in here. So that's all you would check. Get that in there. Once you have that in there, now you have it all addressed, and these will throw a 10 to the value, these will throw a 5, these will throw a 1. Now I have these buttons here, these are interlock push buttons, which means if you tie these all to the same value register, only one can be active at one time because the register can only equal one thing at a time. How these work is you give a button a value, you give it a connection. Any other button that has the same connection will also have a value. Now you'll notice none of these values are repeat. I have a 0, a 1, and a 2. They all go to the same place. And what will happen is whatever this variable equals, that's what button is going to be at state 1, and also what is selected. So to use that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tie some animation in now. So we know that this is going to be sending a 0 to the speed multiplier, interlock push button speed multiplier. So if by knowing that, if I go into this animation here, I hit visibility, I can bring this up. Now I want to do an expression. So we're going to be looking at the speed multiplier. We're going to be seeing what is that equal to. Well, if it's equal to 0, I want these first buttons because that means this times 1 is lit up. So I want these first buttons to be visible. So I'll say, hey, if that's equal to 0, I want you to be visible. Now I can choose it to be invisible as well, but in this case I want to be visible. Hit apply, we'll move on. What I like to do is I'll copy it because this animation is going to go over. All I'm going to do is have to change this one last number. So if you click on the next one, you'll see the window just changes. It goes blank. Well, it's the animation for the next object you've selected on. Whatever you have focus on is what the animation window is actually controlling. So now if you select in here, I don't actually have to go and hit expression again. I can just paste that in there, and you have the complete control to actually type right out in here if you wanted to. We'll change that to 1 because when it's equal to 1, I want this to add 5. So let's hit apply on that. We'll go to the next one. We'll do the same thing, make that 2, and now that'll make it equal to 2, or the buttons that add 10. So now let's just close the animation window out. See when I drag this before I got this up over the top of that. Let's move down a little bit. Now we'll quickly put all these on top of each other. Move this right up over here. And we can test this because it doesn't need to have a processor on it. It's all self-contained within the variables that we set up in this tag browser. So now if I hit play, you'll see we'll have a live running app here. Now if I'm hitting increase and decrease, you'll see that number goes up by 1 because I've got this 1 times selected, down by 1. Now if I hit 5, doesn't look like anything's changed except for the 5's been selected. However, now when I hit the button, I should go up by 5 because it's like magic. Like we like to say at work, we have bags full of pixie dust. We just roll around. Add a button to do this, add a button to do that. Now this should go up by 10s, and you can see you can increase it. Now it's really endless. As you can see, I did this all from inside the actual panel view. It's not actually having to have a processor on it or anything. Although any one of these tags could be sent back at any time to the processor to make it control. So that's all there really is to animation.